Friday.
What's up?
I gave my mic an upgrade. I'm like bringing it closer to my face. Do I sound better to people?
You sound normal. If that that's not a bad thing. Like,
all right, I'll take that.
I actually didn't check my mic.
We had recorded it. We had recorded like an interview. It might have been a ladies' night in LA here recently, and I'm like, shit. Like, I sound like I'm a mile away. All you can hear is the damn echo. So I raised it up, and the last one I did, it sounded a lot better.
Placement is important.
It is.
As my mic is over this side, and I don't have I have bottles of liquor here. I have a game over here, so I don't really have that space.
I also ordered a new piece of equipment for a fun video we're shooting this week. And
piece of equipment.
I'm afraid I'm not going to tell anybody what it is yet, because I think you'll all like enjoy it when it comes out. But I'm afraid that where we're going to be sitting and shooting, there won't be an accessible outlet if I need to bring a light. So I just bought a nice-ish battery-powered light, because I figured that'd be good to have.
I mean, it can't hurt. Like, now you actually have the ability to take them anywhere and use them portably. Like, that's.
I have no clue how big it is, though.
It's gonna be massive.
I don't know. I purposely bought one that looked. There were no photos. I had to order it on Instacart because obviously I need it before Sunday.
Good God.
So there were no like proper photos that showed the scale.
The Instacart quickie version.
I mean, it looked like a nice light, though, for what it's worth. We'll find out. How are you doing, Matt?
Doing okay. I'm just fucking tired. The boys is over, so that's one of the things of my weekly routine that is now done, so I don't have to worry about that, which is nice. I like covering it, but at the same time, it becomes that like regiment of.
I get it.
Reviews in, reviews out. Keep it coming.
And now it's on to the next thing. Do you have another show that you're reviewing weekly?
I really try not to do a lot of television, if I'm being completely honest. The Boys is like one of the only shows I actually... Yeah, well, it's one of the only ones I actually like let myself, because I really immensely like, and I like writing about it. But I mean, with so many movies already and trying to like fit other assignments in, like to be honest, like I let television go to other people. Like that's usually how it goes.
I get it. Just to answer this question, we're only going to do the Boys spoilers, and we're going to do that at the very, very end of Merri Hour, just in case anybody isn't caught up yet. I'd like to circle back to Acolyte at some point, but to be honest, I'm 2 episodes behind, and I am not allowing myself to watch anything that has nothing to do with Comic-Con until I get back from Comic-Con. So
yeah, you've got plenty going on there. No,
Matt, I have so much more to watch. I can tell people some things. I'm pretty confident that by the end of today, I'll have finished Mayfair Witches.
Yeah.
I watched all of seasons 1 and 2 of Interview with the Vampire. I watched all of Those About to Die. I'm fully caught up on Ghosts. I'm trying to think what else. There's a couple things that I want to rewatch for the ladies' night panel, but rewatching things probably isn't the best use of my time, but it could be a good excuse. And I just saw a movie for the second time literally an hour ago to prepare for something happening at Comic-Con 2 that I clearly can't tell you about.
Multiple movie watches it's still foreign to me. God bless you. I can't get that.
It feels like I saw that movie a month ago, and with interviews, and it's like it's not just the Comic-Con interviews. Something else is happening after. I feel like I can't be 4 weeks removed. It was the same thing with Longlegs. Like I saw the movie to do the ladies' night with Micah, and then I think it was something like a month later that the junket happened. I had to see it again.
Yeah, we saw that mad early. That's fair. I mean, like again, totally reasonable. Like you're doing other things with it, so.
Plus, I can't complain when I'm rewatching the good stuff.
Well, that's the thing, as long as it's good.
All right. You want to jump into some of the super chats first?
Sure.
Mike is here. Hope you're doing well, Mike. Happy Friday, everyone. Won't be able to watch live tonight as I'm off to see Twisters. Also, I'm super behind on The Boys and Gen V. I would highly recommend catching up on both when you have time. I'm very excited to talk Twisters with you, Matt.
Yes, we will get there. I am enthusiastic.
I'm very excited. Hey guys. Oh, this is Jay Will. Sorry. First time, long time. If either of you are, Fantasia, will you be checking out Stuckman's film? I'm going to hang up and listen. what a home for him to find for his
Yeah.
directorial debut with a feature film, Neon. My God. Good for
That's
him.
a good one. Yeah.
I'm excited.
I'm covering. I just will not be there. It's the first year I haven't gone in a long time, like pandemic aside of when we could actually go to the festival. Yeah, I've been going to Fantasia since like 2014, so this will be my first just at home Fantasia. Didn't line up, but I can't say whether I will be hitting that one or not yet. Right now, I think Neon kind of put a little issue into the whole covering that one virtually, so
Yeah.
I don't expect I will get the chance.
I had a feeling that might happen
Yeah.
when it gets picked up like that, which,
Yeah.
like, I kinda get,
Which is
but
good. I mean,
yeah,
again,
no,
no,
good for
fine. Like,
them,
good.
but it's like a bummer when you don't get to see it.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, still got plenty though. There's like even the Elijah Wood movie played last night, and it's
Yeah.
getting pretty decent reaction. So, might try to review that. But outside of that, there's just a lot of indie stuff I'm real excited to hit. There's like Estonian chainsaw horror musicals, and
Well,
the team behind Psycho Gorman has their new movie coming out. So, like, definitely into that. So, a lot that I'm excited for.
I'm eager for your breakdown. Jay Will with another one here. Random follow-up. Have either of you seen the trailers for Anora and or The Substance? I think both look great. I'm
Substance,
expecting
yeah.
awards buzz for Anora. Yeah, I didn't watch the trailer for that one, but I mean, this is an excuse. I need to watch more trailers than I do, but given the festival buzz that one's been getting, I know I'm going to see it no matter what. But I don't know what's The Substance?
This new Coraline, the Revenge director. Yeah.
I know what that is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that one. That one I'm
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I don't need trailers for either of them. I'm here for them.
I'm in on the trailers. I'll admit I am in on them, and like the reaction was good enough out of the festivals, and then seeing stuff for my own eyes. Yeah. Heck yeah.
I love how I'm like, I don't need trailers, but I'm probably going to go watch those trailers as soon as we're done.
Yeah.
Wiley's here. What's up, Wiley? As the Merri Hour music sup? What's that an abbreviation for? I don't know slang. I got to hear you talk about the Twister soundtrack. I think it was pretty good and creative, but at times felt cheap and tacky, like with the track Too Easy. Oh, the second part here. But has been stuck in my head. But then it's strong with Ain't No Love that works with Glenn's character and the diegetic car radio placement.
I personally, I was listening to the album as I was writing my review. I'm not like country is not my first genre I gravitate towards, but for the Wild West atmosphere they were trying to put together, like the whole cowboy kind of like aesthetic to Twisters, I think it fit pretty perfectly. And I totally agree, those the needle drops that are so on the nose, like I forget what it is, but like there's a moment where Glenn and there's a romantic moment, and it's followed with a song that is hilariously commenting on it in the lyrics, and it's just like, yeah, that was very on purpose. That is hilarious. I don't think it's not subtle, it's not surprising, but for the movie it is, and like the kind of vibe it's going for, I think it works.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed how it paired with certain moments in the movie, but I also I like the soundtrack vibe. I miss the fact that it's not appointment viewing, like appointment buying to run out and get a movie soundtrack as much anymore. So I kind of like that it is in this case.
And I do kind of like a lot of it. Like it's a lot of it's on the nose, but like, I don't know, get some new Jelly Roll, get some new stuff like that. I'm in on it.
I just like this comment. Please hug the like button. It's like a digital puppy. I like that comp. Brett, this is happening this weekend. By the time, I was going to say by the time we do Merri Hour next weekend, you guys know that we're not, because I'll be in San Diego running myself ragged, and Matt will be covering. It's Midsummer Scream, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm just going for fun. I ain't covering
going
shit.
for fun.
I'm going
anyway.
For fun.
By the time I leave for San Diego Wednesday morning, all of Hell of a Boss will be watched.
Nice. I will be at a horror convention doing fun shit.
Send me pictures.
Yeah, I hope so.
Did you watch? Here's a trailer I did watch. Did you watch this? Yeah.
I'm so excited for this. Like, I loved the platform and the idea.
I don't know what to make of it.
Well, that's the thing. Exactly that. I don't know what to make of it and how much they're going to kind of expand on that idea and universe. So I don't want to know more. I just want to see it. That's my vibe.
I love, love, love the first platform movie.
Yeah.
I think it is a concept that could sustain a franchise.
Yeah.
This trailer looked like nutso. Like I don't know what to make of a lot of the visuals that it rocks, but it caught my eye, piqued my interest even more. I can't wait to watch the full film.
Yeah, nothing to add. I love this. Also, just I love the idea. Gordon Ramsay saw that movie and was like, I can make a reality show out of that.
I mean, it's kind of brilliant.
Yeah.
All right. Mike says, need a new show to watch with Boys and Acolyte ending. Is Interview with a Vampire a must watch? Have you watched it, Matt?
I have not, but everyone I talk to has, and they're very enthusiastic about this film.
Yeah. It's
not
quite
film,
good.
sorry, television show.
Quite good. I mean, like, as someone who just loves horror and supernatural creatures, like all of that stuff is fun, but it is a very well-written, well-acted show for a multitude of reasons. I'd highly recommend that. I will say I'm not loving Mayfair Witches. I'm almost at the end, so I've hit the finale episode actually, and it's ramped up in a way where like it does have its hooks in me. Like I am interested in signing off here and seeing how that ends. The quality of Interview with a Vampire, though, I think is just like so incredibly high that is paling in comparison. But
yeah, it sets it up here, and so like when you watch the other one, it's like, oh, this is what you're about.
Which is funny because Mayfair Witches is a show that came out first, I believe, and I think there's been a very, very long break in between Mayfair Witches debuting and whatever they're planning to announce at Comic-Con.
No.
I don't know, but I'm curious to see where my head is at after I watch the finale tonight.
It's actually an interesting one that.
I know.
Like we all knew why it was not released yet. Like, no, I'm not agreeing with it, but I'm saying like I know that studios were afraid of it. Like that was the whole thing. But to have a studio basically say like, yeah, we can't get this released because no one knows what to do with it. It's like,
wait, I'm sorry, someone said that?
Yeah, like that was an actual quote now.
Oh,
like literally the quote mentioned unreleasable, and like that could be from anyone internal, but
that explains a lot. Because I monitor the Collider Ladies Night YouTube channel, obviously, and before it was Collider Ladies Night, it was other Colliders names. Anyway, when we covered Fantastic Fest, that's the channel that the review went on. And I happened to notice an uptick in views and comments on that. And a lot of people were saying things along the lines of like, well, guess I'm never going to see this because it's garbage.
It's like that's the
literally
thing.
All the reviews. Oh, I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I do feel like the general consensus was quite positive.
I'm checking the Rotten right now. I just to be curious about how the critics received it. I mean, we were all there at Fantastic Fest.
I loved it for what it's worth.
Avenger. You were higher on it than I was. I'm not going to lie about that. But
unreleasable. That's just a bad. That's
bad
word to
use. I looked it up, and that was the word there. Yeah, it's got a 92% on 24 reviews. Like, but it is. I understand. It's a fucking mainstream trauma movie, which is a weird thing to put together. Because like. The marketing, if it was a trauma movie, sure, it just goes low budget, you do the low budget release, you don't have to worry about it. But a larger studio backed this, and like a lot more money went into it, and it still came out looking like a trauma movie, and that is a struggle. I understand.
It's literally the point.
I know it's the point, but for someone to release that, like, it's going to take work, and no one wants to do that work.
No, I think it's like. I think any suits worrying about that, it's a total misread on the movie. I think they did a pretty brilliant job of capturing the, like the charm and the ultra low budget filmmaking style of trauma, the qualities that kind of amass the fan base to begin with, but then while also upping certain filmmaking techniques and technologies and tools in order to make it accessible to a modern audience with certain expectations. I thought they balanced both things great. I understand it's a different movie, but they seem to be looking at it as being a different movie, as being a bad thing. Whereas I see great potential there. It's not about figuring out a way to release it. Just release the damn movie and people will enjoy it. And then word of mouth will spread.
Yeah, but they spent too much on it. That's the problem. They can't just do that because they spent too much on it.
You can't say that in hindsight. If you make a Toxic Avenger movie, you know the kind of movie you're making. You spent the money. It's
no,
on you.
I'm aware of that, but they
No.
still don't have to release it and spend the other money for promotion and all that other stuff. And like they're gonna sell it somewhere else. I mean, it's gonna go somewhere. It's gonna get released eventually. It's just how it does, who's willing to put up for it, and like I also like I don't fully agree that they got there with that blend that you're talking about. I think it does play like a trauma movie, and there's a reason why trauma movies cost no money and do get that really easy rollout because they have no cast that they really have to pay and stuff like that. So like they did exactly what you said. They tried to make a mainstream trauma movie, and that itself is an oxymoron, and like it is a trouble. But like I do agree with what you said, that you made the movie, like you did it, so why would you not just write it out?
Did any of those reports include like reported budgets?
No, I did not see that.
I would just be curious. I really can't imagine that they went crazy spending the big bucks on this movie.
I mean, the cast is there. Just on cast alone.
That doesn't necessarily mean they're making $10 million for a Toxic Avenger movie.
I agree with that, but still, again, though, like we're also talking about a movie that has a cult following. This isn't something that they remade that has wide mainstream.
Yeah.
Like they can't just release it because that fan base is not going to turn up for it. Like again, like a trauma film. Like it's struggle, but
I think they should have more faith in their movie. Caleb. So we're looking at a 14-team league this year.
Deep.
We reconfirmed all the returnees. So I think what's going to wind up happening is there might only be a single slot left on Patreon. So if anyone wants that slot, now is the time to claim it, because I have a feeling it's going to go pretty quickly.
I've already been doing my draft strategies. I'm ready.
Oh, I feel so far behind. I can't do any draft strategies until after Comic-Con.
I'm looking at my rookies. I'm looking at who's in better situations. I've got some ideas.
I will nudge you again to get the conversation going about turning that other league into a keeper league.
Yeah, we're coming up on having to do that, so that's something I gotta really get on.
Yeah. Yes, please. Yes, please. Do you want to do one of our reviews now?
Yeah, we can do the easy one first if you want. Just
what's the easy one?
I have Twisters.
Twisters? Okay. Yeah. Did you like Twisters, Matt?
I liked Twisters, and I saw I watched Twister right before I did the due diligence of making sure, because I told you, like I'd seen it a bunch of times, but it was always like chopped up on cable. Kind of watch. So I was like, all right, sit down, watch it. So like, yes, the first Twister is good. The second Twister is very good. It's fun because like it plays like a remake to me. It's like not a sequel. They didn't do anything to connect them really, but like the plotting so closely follows what happens in the first, except doubled. It's like, cool, now we got 2 tornadoes. Now we got this. Now we got that. So I was in it the whole time. Like I was saying before with the music stuff, it's that summer blockbuster feel that I want. I sat down. I was never bored. It is good momentum through the whole thing. It gives you the needle drops so cheesy as hell. It gives you the romance that you know is going to, like, you know everything that's going to happen, but it's still done in a way that is still fun to watch. Mm-hmm. That is important. So I was all in on the ride.
Yeah, I loved it quite a bit. I said as much in my non-spoiler review that I posted on the channel. I went in with some high expectations because of how near and dear that original movie is to me. And I'm shocked by how well this new movie met them. I mean, not totally shocked. I think the second Lee Isaac Chung signed up to direct this movie, I'm like, oh, now I'm starting to reshape my expectations of a studio remake of Twister. Not remake, but like you kind of just touched on that a little bit. Yeah. It's not like a direct, I keep hesitating to call it a sequel, even though technically it is a sequel. I mean,
it is, but it's not.
The technology from the 1996 movie is in this one. So technically they take place within the same cinematic reality, and this one takes place at a later date. So sequel, I really, really enjoyed this ride. That is what it is. It is a summer blockbuster ride, and I enjoy the entertainment value and the fun of it, but I also really liked that it had humanity and a really strong beating heart. And it came across to me like it had respect for Mother Nature and the technology that, and again, I said this in my review too, there's certain, like tech jargon and meteorology talk that
Right over. Right over.
I
Doesn't
can't
matter.
tell you for the life of me if any of
No.
that is legit and sound or not, but it still came across to me like it had reverence for the tech and Mother Nature that it is discussing. And I, for one, really appreciated that. I also love the ensemble. I understand why everyone is talking about Glenn Powell. He's having a year, he's had a past couple of years, and he is wildly talented and deserving of all that praise. I thought Daisy Edgar Jones was like pitch perfect anchor for the movie. And I loved the ensemble around them. I thought everyone made a big impression. And that's one of my favorite parts of the original Twister is the storm chasing group. There's people in that movie that get next to no screen time, but you still walk away knowing every single one of them and what their specific role in the group was. And I had the same thing here. I loved it.
Yeah, the nature of, I think the one thing I mentioned in my review that just doesn't hold up to the high standard is what you just said is correct about Twister. Like every single character in that movie, you know who they are by the end of it. And I think specifically that scene where they are all just, it's the food scene. It's just them eating steak and potatoes and stuff. But you get a deeper sense of them together because you get a longer extended scene of them just being humans together. And there's a little more of that, I think, in Twister than in Twisters. That my one, I guess, ding, if you want to call it that or whatever, is like more of the supporting. I wanted more of the feeling of community there throughout the whole supporting cast, because I do feel like some of them don't really get their chance to shine. Okay. They're there. They do a good job.
I think this is going to be a really hard thing to explain without tiptoeing into spoilers, but I'm going to do it. I think they do it here, but in a different way. I think they find their way at highlighting humanity and community within the group via the storyline.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Without spoilers, I didn't
need a lengthier piece about them sitting at the table and having a meal. I think through that they get there.
Again, that is a small gripe in the grander scheme of Twister versus Twisters. Like it's the one thing I think it does a little better, but at the same time, like the effects, they hold up in the way that the effects are solid.
This movie looks really good, Matt.
Yeah.
I think I've said this multiple times, but I have become quite obsessed with this particular aspect of the film. A studio blockbuster shot on 35.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It's got texture to it. I think that the effects pair really well with the film look, where they just blend so beautifully into the real world landscapes. I feel like more studio blockbusters should veer back towards film, because we've complained about it on Merri Hour a lot. Those digital backdrops very rarely look seamless. And just in general, I'm not the biggest fan of that overly glossy, slick look that most studio remakes have nowadays.
Yeah, and I mean, the original is so good because it holds up listen, I think Jurassic Park is the pinnacle when we're talking about practical effects that hold up, and it forever will be. But like watching Twisters this week, I was going like, yeah, this feels like a 90s disaster movie with pretty neat practical effects. Like all the practical is so good in that, and that's what keeps you in it. Like the going through the house, everything like that is what makes Twister. So I don't think we get as much of that here in a way, but still what we do get is quite good. Like that, I saw complaints online about how fake the tornadoes looked, and I was like, I was like, I couldn't jive with that. Like that wasn't a complaint I felt. And again, I'm the first one out of either of us to be like, yo, that sucks. It's like green screen, stuff like that. Like I didn't feel that.
Didn't feel that at all.
And I think I saw fucking Daisy Edgar Jones like getting some hate as like having no juice or having no personality. And like I disagree, because for the part she's playing, she is supposed to play straight against Glenn Powell for a while. Like that is the point of them. She's there to like be his nudge and his everything else. And then when they start doing their song and dance, they are so good together. Like Glenn Powell, though, come on. I know we're not supposed to focus on him, but holy shit, he's
great. I'll repeat another thing I said in my review, because it gets me a little like crazy to hear that people are saying that she wasn't as good. I think she's got the greater challenge. I I think that more often than not, the lead actor who is playing straight compared to the other characters that maybe have these like more bombastic personalities, or these more extreme defining factors, I think that Anchor has the heavier load to lift. It's not easy to, one, be able to serve as the anchor that the story needs, but also be able to play with everybody around you in a way that conveys maximum chemistry. And I think she did everything in the movie exactly how she needed to.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, because I think they do have good chemistry, and like I did feel sparks when it started happening. Like again, none of this is spoilery, because like we all know, like this shit's in the trailer, this shit's what it is. But the moment that clinched it for me, when I was like, I am so in on this, is when you've got Powell's fucking YouTuber lunatic driving straight towards a tornado, and in the background they're playing Ghost Riders in the Sky. And that is what Wiley is talking about before. It is like one of the most obvious choices you could make. It is a needle drop of needle drops, but it's so good. I don't care. Like I don't. They did everything I expected, but it works so goddamn well that it doesn't matter.
You know what part really like blew my mind in the best possible way, and it's not even a big action scene. I couldn't believe how like the vibe and the energy of the film changed in the best possible way when Maura Tierney swoops in.
Oh god, yeah.
Like she's not in the middle of crazy action and doesn't do anything that outrageous. She's just really cool and has really good chemistry and is just delightful to watch in that role in this film. I was very, very impressed.
And that's the Lee Isaac Chung of it all. I mean, that's, if you've seen Minari, you know that he understands how to tell a communal family story, and he knows how to play with human emotions so goddamn well. Because like if you don't have that element and a different director who was focused on action took this over, then you would just get into the storm. Like that a movie like that is focused on chaos and destruction and plays more like a horror movie, which is not like, that's fine if that's what you're going for. But I'm really happy that they went with someone like Lee Isaac Chung, because he could translate some of what we love about Twister over. Like, it is a romance at the same time. It is all of these other things. And you get that here in spades. Like the gravity of some of the tornado scenes where people are trying to run for cover and like survive is very, very like it is dreary at points. It gets dreadful, and there's an intensity to it. And then the next scene, you get typical rom-com beats and just jokey jokes, and that should be a tonal clash, but it's not, because Chung is like easy just to navigate both of those tones, and that's the survive. Like that is why this endures. A other filmmaker would only have one tone and go forward. Like Chung is playing with like so many toys in the sandbox.
Yeah, I mean, I like that you use the word endures too, because that's something that the 96 film has. I think it still holds up to this day. And because of certain things he does when making Twisters, I think now this movie has the same potential to go on for years and years and years and still be just as successful of a big screen ride as it is right now.
Yeah, it's thrill. It's fun. It's exhilarating. It's all those things I want in a theater. I forget who tweeted it. Walkuski tweeted that he saw it in 4DX.
I want to see it in 4DX so badly.
Literally, the only other 4DX I've seen is Geostorm. So apparently I only see Storm movies in 4DX.
I mean, it makes sense. A friend texted me and she's like, I just got out of it in 4DX. Wow. Like, shit.
I'm glad they're pushing this one hard for 4DX. Like, no, Twisters, you got to see this with like mist blowing in your face and rocking around.
Makes all the sense in the world. Do you want me to go into one of my mini reviews?
Yeah, you can go there.
I feel like this teeters, like that conversation might tee this one up in a decent way. It is Those About to Die, which is the new Peacock show. Is that on your radar at all, Matt?
No, if it's Peacock, most likely not.
I mean, I get it. I get it. We all have
not in a disparaging quality way. It is in 100. That's just a platform that is Jeff.
I totally understand. There's only so much time. And also for everybody out there, only so much money to go around. And I know we can't have every single streaming service. I did see, I read some other reviews, and I think the assessment on the show has been a little harsh. Okay. I, for one, went into this show It's about the Roman Empire, by the way. It takes place in 79 AD, and it's largely about, chariot races and gladiator games and the building of the amphitheater. And I'm not going to say those kinds of historical dramas are things that I seek out and gravitate towards. So when I first started watching the show, I was a little skeptical and a little nervous, admittedly. And the first episode, while I do think it is a solid episode, this is a show with a very, very big ensemble. And at the beginning of the show, this makes sense story-wise, that big ensemble, the characters are spread all over the place. And again, given the fact that my mind isn't really in that zone, there were a lot of things that I felt like I needed catching up on. I didn't fully understand why this was important, this is important, and this is important, and keep track of everybody and who's doing what and what's this person's motivation. It was a lot. And then I stuck with it, and the payoff was,
there you go.
Was pretty big for me. I think it is a very well-constructed show. I love the gray area that pretty much every single character is exploring. There's a lot of people with, big hearts who are forced to make moral dubious decisions at times. I found that very interesting. And then there's a couple people who are just so damn good at playing bad that you can't take your eyes off of them. Part of the reason why I wanted to bring up Those About to Die after Twisters, though, is because of the effects.
Oh, okay.
So Those About to Die heavily uses the volume, and there's points. I understand why they do it.
It makes sense.
It's not Game of Thrones where you're getting like so many millions of dollars to spend on every episode. You have to be economical, and you have to use the tools that you get as well as you possibly can. And I do think they do that, but of course there are times when I can see that they are shooting on the volume. But then there are other times where I can see why the volume is better. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it's really great, and then sometimes I can kind of see the seams showing. Yeah. Then there's also other times where I'm trying not to spoil anything. Some of the effects work. There's certain shots in the chariot racing action scenes that are like chef's kiss, like real damn good. There's a couple other times where it's like a close-up on an actor and you could tell, like green screen volume, whatever it may be, that it's a fake backdrop, but then it's cut with certain other shots that look so good. Like you could feel like the sand on the track.
Well, so that's the thing though, like with the volume, I think the volume is best used as a tool in a production versus the entirety of like the entirety of the production. I think from what you're talking about, like there's an indie movie called like Molly and the Max in the future, and it was made for like it's made for no money. So yeah, you've got to use the volume for everything, and that gives it appeal. Like it's an indie movie doing this stuff like that. But then I guess if I'm gonna go watch something on Peacock and if I'm inundated with that kind of glossy feel and the volume, like it's Mando. Like you can feel it on Mando sometimes, and it's just like, all right, why does this feel fake when for so long people were able to make this universe feel very real?
Yeah. I mean, again, with Those About to Die, I can see the seams showing every once in a while, but for the most part, I think it comes together visually well enough. And I got very invested in these characters. There's a number of pretty exceptional performances too. There's one in particular, Sarah Martins, who plays a character named Kala that I thought was just she was great. And she has such interesting chemistry with Ewan Rayon, who of course a lot of people know from Game of Thrones. Yeah. I thought he was really good in his role too, but his character is kind of running a betting operation, and so it's like not only do you have like the action of the chariot races and the gladiator fights, but then you get the really interesting behind the scenes of what it's like betting on it and how they're trying to gain power and manipulate the system and all that stuff. I was very intrigued by the betting aspect of it all.
No, that's cool. I like that side of it.
I'm hoping that more people discover this one as time goes on, because I also really liked where season 1 ended, and it definitely left me itching for more. So my thoughts on Those About to Die for you.
Yeah, I will. I mean, Peacock is Twisted Metal, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, like
Think so? I'm pretty
that's the
sure
one
it
I
is.
have to do first. Like I haven't even seen that yet, so it's like I know my Peacock strategy at this point. It's
Yeah.
just if I ever turn it on outside of the big three for me, which is like, or sorry, big four, which for me would be like Prime Video, Shutter, Hulu, and Netflix. Like that's just what I gravitate to.
Yeah. Again, I get it. I get it. Only so much space.
Yeah.
Streaming services.
Did you see Oddity? I forget.
I
You
love
did, right?
Odity.
Yeah, it comes out this week.
Love, love, love Odity.
I wanted to like shout that out because like I think the carryover from Long Legs, like the discussion is still online, very focused
Yeah.
on Long Legs, where it's like I think Oddity deserves, if you get the chance to see it, because I saw Mike K, I think.
Yeah, I saw someone bring it up.
Somebody was brought it up in the chat before. Like I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Oddity. I think it's pretty good. I didn't like Damien McCarthy's first film, Caveat, which a lot of people did. So I came into this like the same thing as Longlegs. Actually, I was like, "Is this filmmaker for me or not? Like, how is this going to be the one?" Oddity really worked for me. It is a creepy little chamber piece, and I'm very happy it's getting the theatrical rollout before Shudder later in the year.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I know it got overwhelmingly positive reviews out of South by Southwest, and I, for one, think it deserved every single one of them. I'm really into haunted object stuff, and obviously that's kind of his forte, his specialty. And if the movie catches on like I think it deserves to, I feel like the Wooden Man has the potential to go on to be quite iconic.
The Wooden Man's been all over New York this week.
Yeah, the Wooden Man has been very busy since South by. I am most impressed by the work he's putting into selling his movie.
Yeah. So I think it's just worth mentioning because again, like there's so much horror always coming out, and it's like for something like Long Legs, I feel like it takes over the cultural conversation for a little bit, and it's like no, there's still more coming out. Like hey, that was last week. Like let's try to give some of that love to Oddity.
I want Odity to get a lot of love.
I mean, I want Long Legs to make all the money too. Okay.
I don't want Long Legs that talk to die down.
That's fair.
Remember when we were like, "Oh, it's gonna make 14 million. That's a big deal." Look at how much money that movie made.
Hell yeah.
So much money. And I'm so happy about it. That's a really big deal. If you had asked me at the beginning of the year, let's say I saw both Long Legs and Maxine and already knew that I loved them. If you had asked me at the beginning of the year which of the two is going to make more money, I never in a million years would have picked Long Legs by a mile over Maxine. But shit, like strong filmmaking, people.
Strong PR campaign.
Brilliant PR campaign. Really, a lot of the people behind that marketing approach need all the applause in the world because there's no denying that made a big difference. But, I really do like seeing the 1-2 punch of good marketing and good movie pay off quite like this.
Yeah, I was all Maxine before this, 100%. I was like, oh yeah, Maxine like has the potential to be like, like just from what it was, I was like, oh, potentially be my favorite of the year. It's going to make all the money because it's the second sequel in a franchise that's like taking off. So I think it really does come down to though that marketing campaign. Like Maxine did not have that. Maxine, I think, rested on his laurels and thought you're just going to keep coming because you want to see the next one.
I don't know if they rested, but
not rested was maybe aggressive.
I think part of the problem is the comparison too. It's like that Long Legs marketing campaign would, like it sounds like I'm saying this too soon, but I think in my mind is going to go down as one of the best horror marketing campaigns of all time. Yeah. So when something is like at that level, it's just difficult for anything to compare to it.
Cloverfield, Blair Witch, stuff like that.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. You want to hit a super chat and then I'll talk a little bit about Cobra Kai?
Super chat. Yeah.
Travis, how you doing, friend? Do you guys think the bike riders will get any awards come award season? I enjoyed trailer 3 for new Beetlejuice. Can Gladiator 2 repeat the first movie's success?
I don't think bike riders.
Me neither.
I don't think bike riders will have any legs. I think it's had its time and now it's going to go away. I'm digging the trailers for Beetlejuice a little bit.
I'm digging the trailers too. Remember when I complained about the plane in the last one?
Yeah.
Admittedly, I only watched the new Beetlejuice trailer once and I did like it, but there's a sandworm shot in it that like almost looks like a cartoon, like an animatic.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping that plays with the vibe. I'm hoping that is going to make more sense when we see the film.
I wonder if it was deliberate, like
yeah, like that's what I'm saying, like a
where there's
deliberate
some
shot.
sort of stylistic change. I don't know.
I mean, it's we know the filmmaker, we know the movie prior Beetlejuice,
Yeah.
like it took some swings in that. So I think there's a chance those are deliberate for a reason, and we'll find out when we see the movie.
I hope so. As for Gladiator, I think it can. Admittedly, I'm torn.
Yeah.
I think either the competition between Wicked and Gladiator 2 hurts both movies, or it could be a Barbenheimer thing all over again, and we could see all ships rise. I also think it's heavily dependent on how good the movie is. I think there's going to be interest in it no matter what, but if those reviews are wildly positive, it's must see, it's going to go on to become a big award season darling again, then that's going to up interest big time. And I would like to see that special spark happen again, where we rolled into the release of Barbie and Oppenheimer with that in the back of our minds, and both just popped off because of it, and also other things too. But I think Gladiator 2 and Wicked need to be good in order to do that.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with you on that one. I think Gladiator, it's been a while too, so it's kind of like the same people who were stoked on it, are they gonna be as stoked for it? Those questions. So
looks good though.
It does look good, and it's got the shot. I ain't gonna put Red down.
All right, Cobra Kai season. I was about to say season 1. Cobra Kai season 6 part 1. I already posted a spoiler interview. I can't
review.
Speak.
Spoiler review.
I did post lots of spoiler interviews too. I already posted a part 1 spoiler review on this channel. I will not tell you any spoilers right now though. But one thing that I'm a little shocked by, Matt, is I don't know if this started because they chopped the season up into 3 parts and people are like butthurt about it. There's an unusual amount of Cobra Kai backlash out there. I don't know.
It could be.
I feel like it's always been one of those safe franchises for me to cover, where I could post a video and just know that, maybe someone will like respectfully disagree with a point I make because they don't like something. But this just seems like an overwhelming amount of like negativity and vitriol that I wasn't quite expecting. And
that's weird.
I found it a little strange and surprising.
Because like I say this in the way of like, I haven't seen anyone talking about it on my timeline, and like that's not indicative of the quality. Obviously, people just aren't. Maybe they didn't have the time for it or stuff like that. But like, I'm seeing nothing on my timeline about it. So the fact that there's vitriol seems even weirder.
Yeah, like people seem shockingly mad. I'm just looking at Netflix. It is number 1. It's like
I believe that.
It's the number 1 TV show on Netflix right now. But anyway, all that just surprised me, especially because I really liked it. I really liked part 1 a lot. And after, I was a little nervous too about, splitting it up into 3 parts. But I think that part 1 offers a satisfying story all on its own, but it also serves as, a solid, strong first chapter to a 3-part story. So you get the best of both worlds. We're constantly weighing whether or not we prefer binge watching stuff or watching week to week. And this release model essentially gives us the best of both worlds. And I like that. I feel like past seasons, as much fun as I've had with them, the conversation stops at a point and you move on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool that for season 6, we get these 5 episodes to chew on and then get to talk about them all the way through November. So all the way through to November. So I, for one, like it. I also continue to really like the cheesy humor of Cobra Kai. It gives me like that warm and fuzzy feeling. But also, especially I think more so than ever now, as the characters get older and are young adults looking forward in their lives, I feel like, the dramatic weight paired with that humor is also really, really strong. Like I'm trying to think of what I can give you as an example that is not spoilery. For anyone who's watched, obviously Peyton List's character goes through a lot. I won't say character names. This is how I'll fuck. I'm afraid to spoil something. I think there's a lot of characters that are learning what it means to be, like part of a team versus an individual trying to be the best. I think there's a lot of lessons being learned about being part of a friend group versus growing as an individual in your own way and knowing that that is okay and good. There's a lot of things happening, and this is pretty much out there because it's in the trailer, but we're learning new information about Mr. Miyagi, and I don't think there's a better way to like blow open the doors for the creative possibilities and growth in Daniel LaRusso, because him leaning on Mr. Miyagi has been kind of like an unshakable pillar for him, for that character since the very beginning.
Character's like mythos, yeah.
And the show is challenging that. And I think that's really interesting and exciting. The last non-spoiler point I'll make is I think this is a perfectly cast show. I love everyone dearly. Peyton List runs away with part 1, runs away with it. She has a number of really great scenes. There's one particular scene in episode 5, though, that if Cobra Kai was given the respect it deserved, I would say she should get an Emmy nomination for that specific scene. So there you go. That was all non-spoiler. I did it.
I've got a whole season to catch up on before I even get to part 1. So,
Matt,
I don't like it in the same way you do. I like it, but I don't like it in the same way you do.
All right. I was gonna say I'll let it slide with any other show, but Cobra Kai has my heart in a really special way.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about this last week. I still am of the mindset that as much as what you're saying is true, if you do part 1, 2, or however many parts you're gonna do, like, you carry the conversation on. I think you also do risk losing viewers, though, by doing that. I think by splitting it up, you have people who won't be as into what you're saying. And like, you are very...
People are getting 5 episodes. 5 episodes.
I got 4 episodes of Chucky, and I haven't watched the second part of it yet because they made me wait 4 more months, and I stopped caring.
So, like, what would you say if I called part 1 season 6 instead, part 2 season 7? Would you look at it differently?
I'd be more mad because The Boys, we'll talk about that later. 8 episodes is not enough for television.
I don't know.
I know you are very staunch on your opinion, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, you are valid in that. I am just saying there is another side to that coin. There is the side where people don't want that split up. And if it was week to week, that's different. If you sustain it by doing a week long, like 1 episode per week, yeah, if I know it's coming every single week, that's one thing. But if you make me watch a few episodes and then just pull the rug out and say, now wait a few more months for the next one, that's a cheaper tactic to me. I don't like that.
Mm-hmm. I am unbothered by it, and I am enjoying it thus far. I feel like if part 1 didn't do the 2 important things, feeling like whole enough that I feel satisfied while also leaving me with a real epic cliffhanger that makes me want to see part 2 really bad. I feel like if you don't do both of those things, that's when it becomes an issue. But
yeah,
they do it really well. There is also some score at the very end of Cobra Kai that's some of my favorite music of all time. Like all time.
Hell yeah.
I pinpoint exactly what it is in the spoiler review. Go watch that. Yeah. All right.
I'll get there.
The Boys.
Do super chat first.
Oh yes. Let me pull that up.
Yeah. Before we get into it.
What's up? How are you doing? El Surge Cruz. Hi, Horror Hound, longtime watcher, first time super chatter. We appreciate that. My summer horror, Jaws, Friday the 13th, and Sleepaway Camp. More recommendations. Thanks. That is
I'm looking at I can see my Blu-rays. I can see everything that I own, and I'm like, what's good summer? I mean, for me, I know it's a spring break movie, but I still watch Piranha 3D. I love that for even for the summer, because that is 100% the vibe. If you've never seen Piranha, though, it's one I recommend, the original. I'm just like looking at going off what I own.
Fear Street, particularly
that's fair.
1978.
I mean, I would. Well, I can't really.
I mean, now I'm like kind of just thinking about summer camp movies. I will say,
horror too.
If you're specifically talking about OG Friday the 13th, go watch the 2009 remake. I think that movie is a remake that does not get near enough credit.
No, it doesn't. Most of those remakes at the time were unfairly chastised, I would say.
Independence Day is a pretty great. I mean, oh, but you're talking horror now. I'm like looking at all the little like pops and stuff I have.
No, I know. I like in the summer I kind of gravitate towards like slashers like Pieces, The Burning. Those are more classic.
How about it? It's got summer vibes.
It's got vibes. I like My Aquatic Horror. That's that's summer to me, right? Like I kind of want sharks and things like that nature.
Go watch Open Water.
Go watch Deep Blue Sea 3.
I feel like there's more.
I'm quite good.
Looking for more examples.
Oh no, there's a billion
right now.
There's a billion and one movies. Like you could just Google horror, yeah.
Or we could do our jobs and give recommendations.
I just did. I gave a bunch.
No, we did. We hit a bunch of good ones. We hit a bunch of good ones. Shallows. If you want shark.
Fuck yeah.
Shallows is pretty good. All right.
Real good shark movie.
Shall we do it?
Yeah.
All right. Because I especially wanted to do plugs today before we say goodbye to everybody who isn't caught up on The Boys. I'm sorry, I'm going to steal this and go first, Matt. Okay. Well, speaking of The Boys, if you want some The Boys talk with one of the coolest stars of the show, I did a ladies' night with Karen Fukuhara, who is just like an utter delight. Matt, I could have talked to her for hours and hours.
I can imagine.
We were only scheduled for, I think, 40 minutes, and it was nearly an hour, and it was so hard for me to wrap that up. She is just lovely and super talented. So go watch that on the Collider Ladies Night YouTube channel. And then one of the main reasons that I really wanted to plug ASAP right now is that if you are going to Comic-Con next week, you can see the very first live Collider Ladies Night panel with Erica Henningsen, Katie O'Brien, and Melissa Barrera. I'm so excited. So much work went into making it happen. So if you are there and you can get to Ballroom 20 on Friday, July 26th at 2 p.m., I would really love to have you there. So I hope to see some of you in Ballroom 20 on Friday. All right, Matt, your turn.
You can follow me at Donatobomb, DONATOBOMB, on Twitter, Letterboxd, Instagram, sometimes on Blue Sky, and sometimes on TikTok. And yeah, I just have a lot. I'm doing, as we mentioned before, I'm covering Fantasia for the next 2 weeks. So that's the primary focus I've got. I've got a shark movie coming up that I can review as well. So the reviews will keep churning. And then August, we get right into Trap. We get right into Alien Romulus. Mm-hmm. Big old. I'm excited for August. August is going to be cool.
We've got some cool movies coming out. I'm psyched. All right. This is the time. If you have not watched all of The Boys season 4, we say goodbye to you, and then you can go watch it and come back at another time. So that's it. This is your one and only The Boys season 4 finale spoiler warning. Matt, do you want to go first?
Yeah. I mean, are we doing the whole season at this point? Are we focusing?
Sure. I mean, literally say whatever you want at this point.
I think I think this season was good, which is like an unenthusiastic good, and that's a disappointment to me because I have loved The Boys pretty much to this point. I think season 2 is probably the down point for me so far. Gen V was immaculate. Season 1, season 3 was fan-fucking-tastic, and then to follow it up with season 4, it just feels like treading water the whole time. I never get this. It feels truncated. It feels incomplete. It feels like it is just a giant setup for season 5. And there's a lot of good in there because, again, I still think that it's a decent season of television. It's just not on the level that The Boys was operating on previously. And I do think this is the weakest finale we've got yet.
I will disagree for the most part. I will admit that there were certain weak spots and storylines that didn't pack the punch or just weren't even handled very well.
They're not.
Peppered throughout. But for the most part, I mean, we've kind of talked about this. I think they kind of did what they needed to do story-wise in order to, make it feel intimate, up the value of the connection between the characters. And, someone already brought it up. that finale montage doesn't work unless you lay the groundwork like they had this season. And I for one really do appreciate I really appreciate storylines and shows and movies that aren't afraid. I don't want to use the word repetitive because it's not repetitive, but I like stories that aren't afraid to let their characters slip and show that a lesson learned isn't a lesson learned for good, that you need to keep working at it. And sometimes by continuing to work at something, you grow in the same direction, but you grow in the same direction in a new way. And I think it makes some of them even fuller characters than they were before.
So like I have the opposite reaction. I think, and again, it's just the way it crumbled for me. I don't think it did a good job building up a bunch of points to get to that montage moment. I understand that's where we were always headed and that's where we needed to get to. But to me, like some of the stuff is fumbled, like especially with Butcher, where we were finally seeing that humanity and we were finally seeing some of these things at him where like, okay, is he gonna not be the comic version of the character? Like, are we actually gonna let him maybe discover something inside himself and use that next season? And all they do is they smash reset. Like they reset him completely back to square one. We're right back to where we were. And they have done this before, and that's the problem. We keep doing this with Butcher, where it's more and more, we're going to tease you with some character development, and then we're right back to where we are. And I think that felt cheap to me, especially if we're talking spoilers with Victoria, because that was the one plot point that I was actually interested in. If I'm being honest, that was the one plot point that really had me excited for the next season. And then not only do you waste Butcher to me in that moment, but you take away the one thing that I'm like, cool, so you're just doing shock and awe for shock and awe again because that's what you're good at, but you didn't think about it this time.
I can't argue with that. I think that was one of the biggest disappointments was Newman's exit. I thought Claudia DeMitt was just like doing some of the best work on the show in that role. And I found her potential going forward wildly interesting. And I thought there were a lot of possibilities there. The shock of the moment while I was watching it did work for me. Like I gasped. I was like, holy shit. But then when you come down from that, you need to make sure that story choice has more value to add than it takes away from the show. And in that particular case, I think it takes more away than it adds going forward.
Yeah, so that was like a sour taste in my mouth. Also, like, I did not care for the shapeshifter introduction so late into the season. It is a season that was very jam-packed with different obstacles and different storylines. Like the way that we just keep using Huey to like he doesn't really get development, he just gets abused. And I think again, that is from the comics, that is very canon, that makes sense. But it also, like, the show itself has gotten away from the comics in good ways. And I really think the show is a better version of the comic source material, where it's not as edgelordy and it's actually trying to tell a better story. But this season felt like it regressed back into that. Like this season felt like it was lacking the voice, and as much of the anarchy that's fun, as much of like the Stormfront stuff was so good, this just felt like a repetition of so many things. Like Firecracker felt like a repetition of Storm, like down the line. Like I just kept feeling like this was a season that needed like 3 more episodes to actually give some of the things we're talking about their credence, or it just needed to like not be I don't even know what the other alternative there. Like there's no shortening it because it already was too short.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's another point that I can't really argue. I would have liked more episodes. I would have liked to sit with things a little bit longer. In some cases, I can very much say I got what I needed from certain storylines, but I do think, having a little more room to breathe would have benefited more elements. And I think Firecracker is probably one of them. There were a lot of elements of that character and what she's going through this season that I do think is, like, again, yes, more of the same. But again, I think the show, I said this before, so I feel bad repeating it, but I think the show needs to do more of the same with a character like that to highlight the fact that it happens in the show and it happens in real life as well.
Yeah.
We put ourselves back in the same fucking position all the time. I think they do well enough with her in that respect this season. I do think there would have been opportunity to differentiate it maybe a little more and offer a little more nuance if they had more room to breathe, but they didn't.
Yeah, and again, I think this is very much a byproduct of the 8-episode season. I think those things that you're talking about are 100% correct. Like the political mirroring of our current society and like the like we had to get to this point in the storytelling because too many people thought Homelander was a fucking hero as season 3. Like people watched all the season 3 and still thought he was the good guy. So yes, Eric Kripke had to look people in the face this season and be like, this is a fucking Nazi. This is bad. Like, that makes sense. I am all on board with that kind of stuff. It is more for me the like there's certain elements where like Ryan disappears for multiple episodes and it just doesn't matter because we're dealing with like the Frenchie stuff actually is the stuff that got me the most. I thought Frenchie's arc was so mishandled and like it's so quick to get him into jail. And then the whole payoff there is like Frenchie now has to pay for his sins and he wants to. Like that is a growth moment. I get that. But then the very next episode, Butcher just walks in with Frenchie. He's like, I got him out. Don't worry about it. And like that kind of shit is what got like it's that you stress something is so important and then you just swept it under the rug to get him back in the boys because the only 2 episodes are left. We need him back. He needs to make the V virus. Like that's the shit. That's the shit that really didn't work for me. It's just so much of repetition, so much of doing things that we knew it was going to do, but where it felt fresh and innovative prior, like those shock moments, they would shock you, like jaw dropped. Oh shit. Where talking about the Victoria Newman, you said you were shocked by it. Like I just kind of rolled my eyes and I was like, we're doing this again. Cool. Yeah. Like the boys thought they had a good plan and Butcher fucked it all up. All right. Like fine.
Do you know where Frenchie is walking off to? Is that something with specific ties to the source material?
I mean, no, I don't. I think that's the idea of Kate using her powers on him and just whispering to him. So like that was them just splitting them up. Because like you can't have Frenchie with Kimiko. I don't think that was as much justice for Love Sausage. I hate his depiction in the show. He's one of the only allies like the boys have. He's only one of the only good soups in the comic, and they turned him into a stooge in this. And I'm like, fuck you. Like Love Sausage better have his fucking moment in season 5 because he fucking rules in the comics.
One brief super chat. Apparently we did well with our Rex. So glad you enjoyed the combo. Hope you watch some and then tell us what you think of them. Are there any The Boys chats? A lot of comments about Newman's death.
I have not been looking.
I really don't have much to be critical about. The show is so fun and brilliantly done. I am pressed to find anything that I can compare it to. It's just a fun adult show that reflects real world issues. I mean, that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. No,
that is what it is.
It is what it is. I mean, the problem is we're trained to think we're critics, so of course we're going to dig into shit.
I guess they confirmed 2026. Yeah.
Yeah, because Gen V season 2 has to happen.
And I know they're only first writing season 5 now.
Yeah. I think for me, I was gonna go to I actually there's probably more to come on that. I'm not even joking. Mm-hmm. Like literally, there's probably more on that. The one I do want to say is like I think of the 2 new recruits, I think Sage is my favorite, hands down. I think Sage was Hayward's performance is so good. So good.
I thought she was exceptional in this role. She was one of the characters that I was losing a little bit in the tail end, though. Okay. And I wanted more time to explore certain things she goes through because she was one of my favorites.
Yeah, 100%. Like exactly. More time with her. I love the way that she can push back on Homelander, but then when she pushes back that one time too far and is like, I'll blow your fucking head off. Yeah. Like she does finally get scared. And like that moment was so cool. But I wanted more depth from her just being the whole end sequence, like her last scene of just being like, well, why'd you do this? Because I wanted to. See you next season. Bye. And just like walks out. And I'm like, fuck you. Like kind of like it's just such a
I get it. Drew says I absolutely love the finale, but I was so excited about Newman's potential storyline. We're with you.
And like that's why they do it to you. Like they do it to you because you know you're excited for it. And it's just it was fun and exhilarating for the first season. The second season found ways to do the same thing, but keep us engaged. I thought the third season did a great job of that. Like I knew where things were going, but we knew shit was going to get bad. Yeah. So like that was all, it was doing so well with that. And this season feels like just such a dramatic change. Like they just, they didn't have, like you said before, they didn't have the time to do what they did, so they just tried to jam pack a bunch into 8 episodes and tried to deliver their signatures without thinking about how they actually affect the story.
I like the signatures so much, though. Like overall, I'm quite positive, and I enjoyed myself a good deal, and liked the bits that I had to chew on from the season. But
yeah,
I think a lot of these criticisms are fair. Yeah. This I will say I'm very happy about.
Yeah,
I thought the two of them were also ones who were delivering some of the best work this season. Agreed. I think. I don't know. I keep saying this. I think like Jesse T. Usher is just like getting better and better. Not that he wasn't good at the beginning, but like you could just see that he's really digging deep in a special way. And I think I don't think she gets enough.
No, she never does.
Credit.
Because Ashley doesn't. Like, it's so funny that like her actual like she's mirroring her fucking character. I'm curious to see how they handle Ashley next season, because I have to assume she's a soup now. Like, we did see her transforming. They leave it open-ended, obviously, because they can do whatever she wants to. But, like, that is an interesting point now, because she was on the top of Homelander's list, of course. Like,
I don't even think we said her real name after all that, which also mirrors the problem. Colby Menifee, who I think is always good. Super. Do you think Maeve will 100% be back for season 5? I feel like Ashley took more V with her in mind.
I think they... I struggle to say she'll be back for season 5. Because they didn't tease us in any way this time. Like, they made a point to remind us that Soldier Boy's still alive, but they did nothing for Queen Maeve. So I feel like, I don't know, that might not be a thing anymore. I can't say that for sure, obviously. I mean, that could change.
It's wishful thinking, but I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, it'd be great. I love...
He'll be involved in season 5 in some capacity.
Yeah, I don't... Nobody knew Ashley's last name. And also, I love how the Deep spells Ashley wrong. He spells it with 2 E's on the list. It's just perfect. He's just a big fucking idiot.
He's doing great work too. I enjoyed the Deep quite a bit this season.
Yeah. The Deep had some good moments, but once again, we did this already with the Deep. He already went through his crisis of conscience, and we just did it again. It's a lot of again. I get it. I get it. Ambrosius, R.I.P. R.I.P. Tilda Swinton.
That made me really sad. I'm not gonna lie.
Literally, just I'm so happy they got Tilda for that. R.I.P. Other Ashley.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna do this one.
All right.
Yeah.
Any other points you want to make before we wind this down?
No, I think I'm excited for. I'm less excited for season 5 than I thought I would be. But at the same time, season 5 hopefully is going to have all the conclusions that I wanted this season. So I'm going in with an open mind. Obviously, I still think season 4 is decent. I literally became like an enemy yesterday just for not liking this one enough. Oh. Very weird. You can be get trolled for just not liking something enough. I was like, all right, cool, whatever.
I feel like more often you are more likely to get trolled if you fall in the middle on something.
It's so that's such a weird thing where like everyone's like, oh, like what a dog shit take, and I'm like, I gave it a positive review. What the fuck do you want from me? Like, get out of here.
Who cares? You think what you think. You express it respectfully.
Absolutely.
And that's it. All right. With that is a wrap on this edition of the Merri Hour. As many of you know at this point, we will not have an episode next weekend because it's Comic-Con weekend and also Midsummer Scream weekend, which means we're going to have so much to talk about the weekend after. So I can assure you we will make up for it then. And also, I already teased, Matt and I are shooting something like little something, but it'll be fun. And I think you guys are going to enjoy that as well. So you'll have that to hold you over until a new Merri Hour. Have a good weekend, everyone. I hope to see some of you in San Diego. Matt, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, like literally.
Bye-bye.
Peace.